Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a book review for Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Service Model is an adult science fiction standalone book, and it is my first book I've ever read by this author, even though I own the first two books in his Children of Time series. Adrian Tchaikovsky is a very respected, renowned sci-fi author, so I was super pumped to pick this newest book of his up from my library. The way that I structure this review is I discuss the plot, the things that I liked and didn't like, and then give this book an overall rating. If you are interested in skipping to any one of these particular sections, I'll put timestamps down below, and this will be a spoiler-free review. But before we go ahead and get on into the review, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button and giving this video a like to show my channel a little bit of support. As for what this book is about, we are following a main character who is a robot, and his name is Uncharles, and he is a valet robot, meaning that he serves a human. He readies that human's clothes, manages that human's schedule, all sorts of things. That is what he is programmed to do. And one day he accidentally murders his human. He was shaving his human and slit his throat, doesn't really understand what he's done, and decides to flee this manor where he lived to find another human to serve or to fulfill his purpose. So at first glance, it appears like the main theme of this book is just finding your purpose in life. But the thing is that we are following a robot. We are not following a human. And this robot only acts within the parameters of what he has been programmed to do. We are introduced to another character known as the Wonk, and it is clear from the beginning to the reader that the Wonk is a human girl or a human masquerading as a robot, but Uncharles thinks that the Wonk is a robot for most of the book. The two of them enter kind of this companionship as they traverse this post-apocalyptic world. It is clear that human civilization has pretty much collapsed and that robots are, I don't want to say that robots have taken over, but humankind had created all of these robots, and all of these robots are still going about their day-to-day lives functioning as they were programmed to, while the humans, on the other hand, their society has completely collapsed. So it looks like the robots, I don't want to say they're more successful, but they're thriving and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing while the humans aren't. We follow Uncharles in the Wonk as he goes through a series of misadventures as he is trying to find someone to serve and to learn his purpose. And then the Wonk, she wants to find out exactly what happened, what caused human civilization to collapse. So she decides to travel to this place known as the library, which is supposed to house all of the information, all of the data of human civilization up until that time, and she thinks that the library should have the answer to her question. So that is what this book is about, as we are following Uncharles' journey, who is a robot, and we are following the Wonk's journey for answers to her questions, and things kind of go from there. Normally I start off with things that I like in a book, but I'm actually going to start off with the things that I disliked in this book because there was far more of dislikes than they were likes. So the first thing I'm going to say about this book is, unfortunately, I found the actual plot incredibly boring. And when I finished it, I was actually with my parents and I closed the book and I looked at my mom and I said, that was one of the most boring books I've ever read. The plot just progresses very slowly, and we are in the head of this robot for the majority of the book. And at the beginning, it's really kind of cute because Adrian Tchaikovsky did an excellent job with creating this very realistic robot, and it thinks like a robot, it acts like a robot, it rationalizes like a robot. And when you place that robot in a human situation, it's just very clever to see how he responds because he's not a human. So on the one hand, the author did an excellent job creating a character so real, but on the other hand, the character was completely unrelatable because it wasn't a human being. So the thought processes of Uncharles and his reaction to things got very repetitive very quickly over the course of the book. And then we have the Wonk, and it is very clear that the Wonk is a teenage girl, and I found her to be a very annoying character, and I think the author was trying to create her to be quirky and funny and it just didn't work for me. I didn't find that she provided any sort of comedic relief, and I actually thought that the irony or the ironic situations that we found Charles in was way more humorous than the dialogue or the actions of the wonk, and I personally just found her to be a very annoying character. And another thing is that she kept telling Charles that he could think like a human, that he had autonomy, that he was able to step outside of what he was programmed to do. And for the life of me, I don't know why she thought that, because she was trying to treat Charles like he was a human and he's not. And she was expecting him to act like a human and he's not. And I don't know why she didn't realize that. I also would have liked to see way more expansion of the world, specifically backstory, because like I said, the wonk is traveling through this wasteland, trying to find out why society collapsed. And we get like a very simple, not simple, but not a very expansive answer towards the end of the book. And to be honest, it was a very unsatisfying answer. And I would have loved if we kind of got more backstory into the world before the collapse, maybe some flashbacks, maybe a dual timeline. I think it would have broken up the monotony of Charles's story if we'd had that. And then we have this entire journey expecting things to change at the end, expecting this huge climax, and to be honest, there absolutely wasn't. So Charles is searching for purpose and meaning. He never actually finds it. The wonk is searching for answers to the collapse of civilization. She gets an answer, but it's definitely not what she was looking for. And if you are expecting an ending to this book that is wow and eye-opening and, you know, interesting, you're not going to find it. It didn't happen. Now, moving on to the things that I liked about this book, I really did appreciate the themes that the author was trying to communicate, such as having a purpose, free will, having autonomy, the possible role of technology or the ramifications of technology in our world. And I could really appreciate the humor that was in this book. So Adrian Tchaikovsky used a lot of dry humor and ironic humor in this book, and I thought it was very clever, very intelligent, and I could appreciate that. I also appreciated a lot of the dramatic irony, as well as some parallels that he drew from Charles's interactions with things and like our interactions with things. And what I mean by that is there was this scene at the beginning of the book where he is going to this center because he thinks he's a defective robot, where he has to be diagnosed and then fixed. And the author goes through this whole situation, and the whole time the reader is like, oh my God, I can relate to that in real life, like where we have to call a call center to get help and we just get the runaround and nothing ever gets fixed because the process is broken and no one can recognize that the process is broken. So there was just a lot of parallels that he included with Charles' experiences and something we could experience as a human. And then my favorite part of the book was definitely the library scene where Charles and the wonk actually get to the library, and we kind of see what the robots who are managing this great library are actually doing. So their purpose is to index all of the information from human history that they have up until that time period, but how they are doing that is completely wrong and counterintuitive. I thought that scene was very, very clever, very interesting, and was my favorite part of the whole book. So as you can see, I had very conflicting thoughts about Service Model. Unfortunately, the story in and of itself for me personally was very boring, even though I can appreciate the ideas that the author introduced, the humor, the irony, all of that. I would have found that the story, for me personally, would have been more compelling if Charles had been a human, as we are following a human as he or she is looking for meaning, for purpose in this world after the collapse of civilization, because I think that would have been more relatable to me as a reader. So my rating for this book is going to be 2.5 out of 5 stars, straight down the middle, because I had about equal likes to dislikes, and this was a very hard book for me to rate, especially given that this author is so popular and well respected. Okay, you guys, that is my review for Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Let me know in the comments if you've read this book and what you thought of it, or if you've read any of his other works and what you thought of them. I will see you all in another video soon. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.